Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to Faded Town, the number one Pokemon podcast in the world. These are facts. You can look them up in a book, go on PokeStats. We're in season 2, boys and girls. We have our guy that left us last week. He's
My
back.
bad.
I let him back, guys. I let him back.
I'm here.
I'm testing him out one more time. We got Carl.
Yo, what up, guys? I'm here. I'm full. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to talk to Sierra. Ready to chop it up with Zach. Let's get it.
Right.
Not leaving ever again. So let's just get that.
Just throw that. If you missed last week's episode, are you good? Hit that subscribe button down there. We're on every platform, like Spotify, iTunes, everything. Audio only. It is what it is. I don't know. Like, if you're not watching this, there's something wrong with you. Plain and simple. But we got one hell of a guest with us today. We have Sierra Dawn. She's a Twitch streamer. She's a Pokemon master in, training. She's a freaking, she's been casting ridiculously now.
A media beast.
A media beast.
A real media beast.
And I feel like she came out of nowhere, to be honest. And I
I
want to know all about that. It was something. So how's it going today, Sierra?
It's going pretty good. I know Carl left last week early to go get hot wings, and ever since we've been talking about that, I do have some in my kitchen. I might have to pull a Carl here. So
that's great. She's gonna leave. Good job, Carl.
Just eat wings while we interview. It's like
I know, right?
That's
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. When Jesper was on here, we were drinking alcohol, and then we got this whole ordeal. Jesper is a kid. I'm like, yeah, but he's in Europe. You need to understand. It's different.
They can drink when they're 8 out there.
Yeah,
man.
they're 10 that they can drink.
Wild West out there, dude. It's fine.
But let's just jump right into it. So, is Twitch where you started? Is that how this happened, or just a love for Pokemon, or how did this all begin?
So there's always been that love for Pokemon. In terms of getting involved in the community, Twitch was kind of like the first little jump into there. I've always wanted to YouTube. And then I'm like, damn, YouTubing's hard. And I'm like, it's oversaturated. It's super difficult. You're never going to get noticed. And then the TCGO category on Twitch, if y'all have ever hopped by there, there's not actually that many people there, at least not 3 years ago. So I'm like, I'm just going to Twitch stream instead and then get a little bit of a following, swap over, and then kind of fell in love with it and then hopped in the real life community past that. And here we are.
Right. Was TCG always the goal, or was it
I don't know why I started playing TCG. Honestly,
right.
I had a bunch of code cards, and I'm like, I'm gonna put these online. I like opening packs, and then from there, I was like, I guess I kind of want to learn how to play this game. So then when I thought about streaming, I was like, I might as well just play TCGO. I don't really know what I'm doing, but easy enough to play. I think it was the only game I could really stream as well. I had a really bad laptop, so I couldn't really do much else. And then
I know that feel.
Great. And then just everyone was super chill, and I really liked the community. So I just kind of stuck with it since then.
That's crazy. Because when I think video games and Pokemon, it's the TCG is the last thing I want to play. I look at it, I dread testing in my life. I'm like, I have to sit here and play this game for 4 hours by myself. And I'm like, because I grew up on the video games. And I love the video games. The video games are great. I went to a card shop once and they had Pokemon tournaments. In my head, I'm thinking video game. They're cards. I'm like,
what are those?
Yeah, I'm like, great. What am I going to do with that? But yeah, it's a bit wild to think that you're first go at it is straight into the TCG.
That was just for in the community. Pokemon is literally I grew up with Pokemon. It's been my whole life. I don't know what form of Pokemon my parents got me first, but I grew up playing all the video games. I watched all the anime. I collected the cards. I don't recall a point in my life where it wasn't revolved around Pokemon, but the TCG was the first jump into actually getting friends and getting into the community. Pokemon, not just getting bullied in school for it.
But that's another topic I want to hit too, because I've been through, I would say, high school, junior high and high school, I quit Pokemon completely, and it wasn't until after that I got back into it, and then when I got back into it, it was a secret. Like, I didn't want to tell anyone. I didn't tell no one nothing. I started this whole YouTube channel. Still didn't tell nobody. I was just like keeping it on the low. Like, is that something to even like consider? Like now I look at it, I put it on like resumes. Like, hey, I have this YouTube channel. I have this. But like back when I first started, I'm like, I don't want to be a loser. But like, is that a thought process in your head? Like I'm a nerd loser? Like,
I mean, all through growing up, yeah, 100%.
Really?
Like no one like if people knew at one point I played Pokemon, so then I stopped like telling people. I kind of kept to myself, and then I kept playing, and nobody knew about it. And then even like getting into the TCG, like nobody really knew. And then my Twitch channel, I didn't even tell my parents for a hot second until it kind of started taking off a little bit. And then like my coworkers started finding out, and my parents started finding out, and then people are actually really open to it. They're like, "Oh, this is so cool," and I'm like, "Are you sure?" Like, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I get that now, man.
Right? I feel like I'm so old to be touching Pokemon. Like,
well, I mean, like,
but like,
growing up, I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Like all in junior high school, and I was really good. So it was like really weird to like win a regional on a Sunday, and then go to school on a Monday, and then not be able to tell anyone.
Right?
There's like all to yourself.
Right. I'd be like, dude, I just won like $500 and like 3 iPods and like an invite to Nats yesterday, and then like literally 12 hours later in first period, I'm happy, but I can't say anything. And I can't put it on any social media. And like nowadays, so nowadays, like when I'm trying to like go on dates or like meet people and stuff, like I'm in a really gray area where like it's on my Facebook, like Rare Candy, I pimp everything out. I have a Haunter tattoo. Do you want to see it?
No.
Yes.
I'm like,
I have a Haunter tattoo, right? So
didn't you just get this? Oh shit!
Hey,
it looks like a
right. So
yep.
Imagine taking off your pants for the first time.
Oh,
and then
you're like, yo.
And then they're like, "Oh, cool, it's a ghost," and I'm like, "Yeah." There's a better one too. There's a better one too, but only if you want to trade. And then it's just I always get looked at as some kind of immature loser. Always.
Really?
No one ever accepts it. Yeah, no one ever understands it. Really? So I can't be like, "Oh, well, I do all this positivity." Like I can't do all that stuff. I'm just like, "Yep, I play Pokemon."
I think I had a cop out, like because Chum-Li was a part of my channel. Mm-hmm. Like it was people seeing it and was like, "Oh shit, that's a celebrity!" Like you're friends with him, and you guys play Pokemon, and I'm like, yeah,
that's badass.
Yeah. And people are like no one talks shit, and in my head, like I was like, this shit is whack, but then like Kevin and Chum-Li were like, dude, you gotta stop living this 2 life bullshit, because like I'd be hanging out with them and someone would call and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, just chilling.
Nothing.
Taking prizes off Chum right quick.
Right? We hit like 20K subs, and I was like, this is dope, but I can't write anything to nobody. I have to
doesn't it? It's
right? I was like, and then one day we did a podcast. Like we used to do a pod. It wasn't really. It's called The Top Table. And we used to do one once a week, and like this subject came up, and they're like, dude, you gotta stop. And then I was like, all right, you know what, I think on the podcast I messaged this girl that I was talking to. I was like, I play Pokemon. I was like, all right, it's over. It's over now. I just do that.
The double life ends.
Yep, the double life right now.
Anna's true identity comes out.
Yep.
If you responded with her favorite Pokemon that was actually an obscure Pokemon and not like one that everybody picks, she's like, I like Miss Magius, and you're like,
yeah, right? When someone like I feel that way about like a few things. When someone knows a lot about Pokemon, I'm like, oh, you're super dope. And then like I'm super into MMA fighting, so like if you know stuff about that, like I'm like, oh,
what's your ring size?
I'm like,
no, I get that too, man. It was really weird, and then ultimately I kept it a secret forever. And then when I got into Pokemon literally 2 years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be out there with it. I like this, and but I started in a really weird way. I went like you. I went into the comic book shop and they're playing Pokemon. I was looking for something dumb, like a figure or something, just for myself. And I'm like, oh shit, Pokemon. And
Anime
I'm like,
nerd the whole time.
yeah, you're looking for a little cute little thing. I got a lot of space in here, right? So like, they're playing, and I'm like, oh, I bet I could romp these clowns, even though I don't know what this Pokemon is. So they're playing. One guy's playing Greninja.
You sound like a Yu-Gi-Oh player.
Yeah. So the first thing
Damn.
I did was orient my deck sideways, and he's like, "You can't do that." And I'm like, okay. Now you're about to get the hands. And then I won a bunch of games with obviously Greninja Break because it's nutty back then. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna go home and play it and try this. So that's kind of how that started. But yeah, dude, just nobody gets it. It's messed up. It's just how it is. And
so Sierra, you started. When did you decide you're gonna play like actual Pokemon cards? Like you're gonna buy the cards, you're gonna start playing.
It was a few months before Madison 2017. I was just like, I'm like, screw it. I'm like, I have a lot of fun doing this. I had opened enough of the cards IRL that I'm like, hey, I figure I can get like a deck together. So I put my cards together, what I had like opened and stuff. This is like just getting to Sun and Moon Base, I think. So probably a bit before.
Yeah.
Like into that season. I'm not quite 100% sure on the timeline, but I made this really dumb Espeon deck.
Okay.
So the Espeon GX and then the evolutions from Ancient Origins.
Okay.
And I messaged the owner of the league and I was just like, how good is everyone there? Because I've never played IRL before and I have a really bad deck. He's like, oh, nobody's really that good. I was like, all right. So I made this really bad deck. And I showed up there and I wiped everybody.
Oh, God.
And they're like, oh. And then after that, I started like getting more cards and kind of trading to start like playing a bit more competitively. I started going to a league out of town that was a little more competitive and then started attending events.
That's dope.
Nice.
And then last year you did what? You were the producer for how many streams was it?
I did 5 regionals last year.
So what? She got me on stream.
Oh, well, no wonder it wasn't that good. Oh no!
Damn!
I won, dude. I won.
No, I remember there was a lot of hype behind your first one. Like I remember because I was really into watching Dead Draw's podcast, and there was just so much hype behind like this is gonna be different. Like we are gonna produce the best streams, blah 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 blah, and like I'm not gonna lie, my hopes were so high on the first one, and then it was just like a normal stream, and like I'm sure you've seen my dumbass in Twitch chat. This is normal. What are you talking about? But like, I know there's so much into it. Like how was it when you're sitting there and you have to go? I have to produce this whole stream on my own, pretty much, correct?
Yeah, I think people really underestimate what goes into it. So they see what Pokemon does on like an official level. They have a full crew. They have real equipment. Every single regional I produced last year, my stream setup I use at home. I packed it into my car and I drove 12 hours and I reset it up there. It's my own equipment. It was overlays that I made. It was everything that I did myself. And like I had amazing casters. I had amazing like co-producer and Justin Summer who did the VGC side. Yeah. But he did his stream, I did my stream, and all the back end work is just ourselves. Per Pokemon, right. I'm sure they have quite a few people doing this, and I don't think people really like realize that or really like necessarily respected that. So like you're saying like, oh, it's going to be different, and then it just ended up being normal. It takes so much effort for it to be normal. Normal is basically what you could hope for. And by the end of like the 5th regional, I mean, the last 2 or 3 regionals, Hartford and Madison, we were the first Grassroots stream to have backup games. We did backup games flawlessly. So we had a 2-minute window with the judge. We had to disrupt a game, get it on stage, and get it going in under 2 minutes, or else we weren't allowed to do it as according to the head judge. And we're the only Grassroots stream to even attempt it. And we accomplished it flawlessly, IMO, which I think was really a cool testament to what me and the casters were able to pull off. And I think we had some big strides. I think if it was something that we continue to do this year, that heightened bar would be able to show, since the crew would start getting more comfortable with each other, but with just a limited amount of people. I mean, I feel like we did the best for what we were given.
Yeah.
So.
I think, I mean, I love the casters. I love the projection was great. Like, I just thought I was hyped. Like, I just got overhyped for it. Like, it was like when someone tells you a movie is going to be the greatest movie ever. And
Give me two more people and give me a little bit of a budget so I can stop breaking my own computer to take it places and like get a couple of things that would have really set us apart. Like, I had big ideas, but there's always limitations to those ideas that ultimately, like, they're not really, like, I don't know, just you need to pay for people to get to events. You need to pay for the Wi-Fi. I mean, Wi-Fi for events could cost anywhere from $2,000 to $15,000. So, like, where's your money for equipment? Where's your money for anything else? You know what I mean? So, a lot of things like that people don't think about.
Exactly. They were so good. I'm super grateful for that, for being on your stream. Because, like, Jeff and Kirk and all them, they did just such an amazing job.
Jeff, Kirk, and John are just absolutely amazing. And they're so great to work with as well. Like, they had all casted before. This is my first time producing. This is something I've never done this before. But just the experience that they brought, they're like, we'll pick the matchups. We figured out our own rotation. They just did so much on their end that I only had to worry about me. And then they would still check in. Hey, do you need us to grab you food because you've been sitting at the computer for 8 hours and haven't moved? Like, can we help you out? Like, they were just amazing, like, to work with.
I don't know if you want to touch on this, but I feel like why are were you offered to do it again, or how that whole, because that team, I felt that team was good and I don't see it anymore. Is there like internal issues, or is there you don't want to do it anymore and they just broke it all up, or how do you know anything about that?
There's things that I can't necessarily talk about. If anybody's really been paying attention in the community, I'm sure they could see the shift and where it's going. In terms of what I can say about it, I have information I can't necessarily share. That's fine. It's kind of something, if anybody's paying attention to the pattern, I'm sure they could pick it out. If you kind of talk to a couple players in the know, I'm sure people can get that information. I just can't be the one to discuss it.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Even if somebody isn't out with that information, I think they'll probably be able to figure out in a couple months anyways where it's going. But I was unable to do anything for Knoxville just because of my own plans with like getting my own invite and stuff. So then I was really grateful at the opportunity at Richmond to be able to cast.
That's dope.
Like, you did great. And it was for the whole year, it was just so professionally done. And I really loved, I was a little skeptical at first, honestly, when it was announced. So where Zach was very hyped, I was a little bit skeptical because I know I'm
not skeptical. Dude, the stuff they were saying, I'm telling you, the stuff they were saying on the Dead Drop podcast was like, we're going to have tickers across the bottom that tell all the cool stuff that's happening. We're going to have player cams. We're going to have this. I'm like, this is about to be dope.
Oh my gosh. With the player cams, I had all the equipment. I spent like 8 hours trying to get those cameras up. Yeah. But I mean, if you have professional equipment, no problem. Right. When you're working with 5 Logitech C920s,
and you're by yourself,
Logitech webcams are so good, but the C920s don't work well with each other. Anyone who's produced the stream or is using this equipment can tell you the C920s do not work. I get 3 up, and then my whole computer would crash. Blue screens. Memphis was a terrible day. But so we were lucky when we got 2 cameras up and the computer didn't blue screen.
Okay. There was just high hopes. Like, I think everything was supposed to be there, but like the money and the manpower is just not there. Was not there to do it, and which just makes a lot more sense.
When you go to like internets or worlds, and you like when you drop early like I do, and you're like up there watching closely, like there's so much, and you like could like get a peek back there, and then there's just so much going on. So the fact that you were able to do so much with what you have is, one, a testament to your own personal knowledge and being very good at this whole thing that I have great respect for, because my stream is the most low budget, dumb jock production. I'm like, I sound like a strip club DJ. I'm talking so like, right? And then like, the mic will start screeching, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna talk today. And then to go from like being, you basically did all of that with some of the shit that I have at home, and that to me is like mind blowing stuff. So that's, I mean, hey, for a whole year, that's wow, that's really good. Certainly not easy. So
Right.
hopefully you get back there. I don't know what the deal is.
What made you decide you wanted to cast? Is it like because you casted pretty much the last 2 regionals? I know half of day 2.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did day 2 for Knoxville. I competed in day 1. Unfortunately, I'm trash. Was unable to make day 2. So for day 2, they had me on, which I'm super grateful for because it was a lot of fun. And then after that, Richmond, they needed an extra person. I wasn't planning on attending Richmond Regional, so they're like, yeah, we'll have you cast. So I don't necessarily know why I wanted to get into casting. And anyone who watched Memphis last year, my very first casting was actually semis and finals of Memphis.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, because Kirk and John had to head out. Yeah. So I had never had any casting experience. I had to like dummy down my whole stream for somebody else to pop in and produce, and then I got thrown on camera. And then after that, I was kind of like, well, that was hectic, and I felt really embarrassed. But I was like, I kind of enjoy this. I don't know. It's kind of different, and it's very different from streaming, but it's still kind of in the same light of being able to sit in front of a camera and talk about something that's happening. And even though I was a little unfamiliar with all of the more technical game analysis and getting all the really cool things, it was still a position that I was comfortable with and really wanted to like go into a little bit more. So I was very excited that they had me on for Richmond.
Yeah, I think a lot of people need to realize that like when it does come to casting, there's 2 type of casters. There's color, and then there's
yeah, no one gets that.
No one gets that. Like,
no one gets that at all.
There's like, it's okay for one person on the stream to just be talking about what is happening on the board, and then you can have a good support system where you have another person that can go into depth of like why this stuff is happening.
Right.
Like, it makes the stream so much better, and I think like that people like judge so hard on the person that's just like he's playing this card, and you're like, she doesn't even know what that does, or he doesn't know what that does. It's like you don't like that doesn't have to.
It's so frustrating because like I know what those cards do, but when you're sitting there trying to like decipher like everything they're doing and recall the exact text on a card, there was once at Richmond, the other person was saying that there was a Pokemon communication plate. I was like, oh no, it was an electromagnetic radar, which if you discard 2 cards lets you grab, and then I just forgot what it grabs. So I'm just like, 2 Pokemon. I know what the card does.
Right.
You're sitting there under pressure though, and you're like, oh, there's hundreds of people watching. I mean, your mind kind of slips.
100%. Like even Raul, when he did it, like Raul's a top player. He knows what these cards do. I promise you. But when you're putting in a situation, like it's a lot harder than people think. I'm like, he said acro bike for like, or no, it was like Pokecom for an acro bike. He's like, he didn't grab the acro bike or something. I'm like, I know he sounds dumb, but I promise you, it's just the situation.
There's such easy mistakes to make up there. Plus the players are playing so fast. They're hard, like things are difficult to see. You're trying to follow along with the gameplay and like, strategize like what they're trying to accomplish while you're trying to also explain what is happening in that current moment. Like there's so much.
And I'm like, I'm really known for shit talking. Like there's one thing I cannot stand bad casting. As much as I know how hard it is. Like I get it in my head. I'm like, this isn't easy. But I hate it at the bigger level. When we go to ICs or we go to Worlds and there's casting on there that just doesn't, like, I feel like there are just better people in the community that can do it. And, like, I get it, like, it's hard, but you can't just put people up there that don't play the game, like, in my head.
Maybe one day I'll be up on that stage commentating.
I mean, I'm not gonna throw names. Like I've gone over this a lot, but there's just multiple times in these big events where there's stuff that is said that is just blows my mind. I'm like, you've literally never seen this matchup in your entire life. So please just exit the stage. And like, I know that's wrong. Like, I shouldn't be that way. 100%. I know it's hard. The whole situation, you're put in this situation, and it's hard. But I don't know. I can't watch it.
I think it's really difficult to do in casting, just like what they're trying to accomplish too. Because for Pokemon, like there has to be like a certain standard met. So they're super like entertaining people that'd be great at casting. But if somebody's up there making fun of things or is not necessarily the most friendly in how they approach things. I mean, Pokemon's friendly to everybody, so if a caster can't do that, which it makes it then weird what like Pokemon's going for in terms of like their casting stuff. But
like I've talked to Kirk about it, and it's like he doesn't know if he'd ever be able to do commentating for a big event because of his personality. He's like, I don't know what they're like. Do they want these people to be more professional and straightforward? And this is how we don't want you to be loud and exciting. We want you to be professional. And he's like, maybe that's how it is. And like, if that is how it is, then everything I'm saying goes out the window. You know, like you're right. What you're doing is good because I just can't watch boring stuff. So like when there's no entertainment, but they might be under that circumstance where Pokemon's like, yo, professionalism. I don't want to hear you screaming towering splash, all right? Get out of here.
I can't do it with the lack of enthusiasm either, man. Right. Like the best football commentator that I ever watched, his name is Gus Johnson. He used to do NFL games. And there'd be like a 30-yard touchdown, like a run-of-the-mill play most weeks of the season, and he would get so hyped. He'd be like, he's got it! It's like the second quarter, it's like a blowout. And it could bring life to a game that I otherwise wasn't interested in.
Right.
And then Kirk's enthusiasm, for example, when Azul did the thing, was amazing. There was somebody that doesn't play sitting next to me because I usually play and watch streams in a public place. And then he's like, dude, he's like, yo, what's happening over there? And I'm like, just a towering splash for 6 prizes, bro. What do you think is happening? Right. I'm like, see the greatness? That's Azul, man. And then it was super loud. It was really nice. And he was actually interested in what was happening. Whereas like, and he's going to use Tingly Return GX for knockout. What a crafty play. You know, like, but I'm almost positive that there are parameters on the amount of enthusiasm that they can show.
There has to be.
There definitely is.
Yeah.
There's definitely, I believe, very strict standards going
100%.
into it that people have to be following.
Right.
I think Kirk is the perfect grassroots streamer or caster.
Right.
For where we are now, because of his mix of knowledge and enthusiasm, because that enthusiasm is like, I think that's kind of how you grow the game. And I had a really long conversation with him, and I think that's how you catch the 10 people or so who like really aren't in the game but are watching the stream anyway. Like, get them, if you get half of them interested, like that's a win for the game. You know, like that's a win for like everybody. So that's kind of how I think. I'll watch a shitty soccer game because the guy is saying goal in a different language. He's like, oh, and I'm like, oh, I'm at home. I'm like, oh,
right.
You know. So
I agree.
Know.
I think
if I ever get an opportunity, I'm gonna bring the excitement, and you know, like that's what I would do.
I think I talk so much shit that someone's just got to give me an opportunity so they can talk shit about me, about how dumb I am. Because like,
chat would eat you.
Oh, they would eat me, but I would love it.
I dropped the hammer on all of them, dude. Don't worry. Give me that sword in Twitch chat, and I'm dropping.
The problem is like I'm too busy playing in day 2s. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
I don't have
just
that problem.
Too busy.
I don't have that problem.
Sundays are always full. But maybe one day.
We'll stream your game, Zach.
Yeah, probably not.
Zach, known as one of the biggest assholes in the entire community, he's gonna go ahead and start here, and I'm gonna do it like a professional stream.
It's real quiet.
I'm gonna rip you a new one in a neutral ass tone,
like it.
And then just be super hateful, like, yeah, Zach once neglected to save a cat from a tree when he was crawling. And he's gonna take game 1 here, and okay, we're gonna shuffle.
Somehow he won.
Yeah, somehow Zach wins, which is just. I don't know, very mystifying to me, but whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, we were talking last week with Tate As much as this content creating and Twitch and website designing is cool, we still want to be good at this game. Is that a goal for you? Like, I know you've committed this year to trying to get your invite. Is it you just like, this is all cool, but I want to be known for being good at this game?
Yeah, I don't want to just like be like the online meme deck player. Like, I don't know. I enjoy the game. I enjoy playing it competitively. I like being able to try and help like my community get better at the game. And I think it's cool if they can see my growth, because obviously like I'm not the greatest player. I think I might be just a smidge better than I let on with my TCGO skills, because obviously I play like trash at TCGO, because who doesn't?
Right.
But I'm definitely not like top player caliber. But I kind of think if I can maybe kind of get halfway there and have the community kind of follow along and watch that and learn, that it'd kind of be a really cool thing. And I think that'd be super satisfying, like for myself, to like see my own growth in that game.
Right. I think a lot of people look at streamers and go, they're bad. And I'm like, again, you've never streamed. Because I've streamed a couple times, and like there's so much going on. Like in this game, as much as it's just like you solitary, you kind of just play at your own pace. If you're not paying attention and you're not looking at everything, you're gonna play bad. And like streaming by itself will do that to you. Just looking at chat, like you do stuff that's bad, and then like everyone just goes, "Oh, you're bad at the game." It's like,
oh yeah, it especially like depends on like the type of like channel that you're running as well. So my channel, I'm very interactive. Everyone that comes in, I like to say hello. I like to have a conversation. If I'm having 40 individual conversations as well as running my stream, I've got 2 tabs open. I've got like my stream manager. I have my OBS. I have all my alerts. And then I'm playing a game of Pokemon as well. Like I'm going to misplay.
right?
I'm not.
How dare you not attach that dark energy to your Weavile?
And then somebody, like example, I misplayed yesterday. I like made a joke in the chat. I was like, "Oh, we're gonna make this joke. You all say this in the chat so I can roast somebody." And while doing that, I made a mistake in the game, and somebody's like, "Wow, you're actually trash." Still don't know if they're joking or not, because they could have been.
Right, but still.
I mean, I was doing something else. I wasn't paying attention to the game because I thought that was funny, and it was it's kind of like fun for content and stuff, but then I made a mistake in the game, and then that's really what people sometimes focus on.
100%.
So it's kind of a weird balance.
I think the best streamers don't play the game well, like because the game is not entertaining. You cannot sit there. You could like I don't care. You could put Tord and have him sit there and play Pokemon TCG for 8 hours, and you could just watch him in silence. It is not entertaining. It's just not fun. The game's not great to watch. You need that, what you have, where you're talking to people and you're having fun, to make your stream so much better. People, I promise you, people are not coming to your stream to watch you play Pokemon. They're coming to interact with you and have a good time.
Yeah, I think that since I've gotten into it, I think every individual viewer comes to the stream with their own goal. So I will have the same people generally show up all the time. And they know by now that you do not come to my stream to watch high-level gameplay. You don't. You come to donate to a cause, or have a conversation with me, or have me just joke around, or have me give you packs. Like generally one of those 4 things, or maybe all 4 at once, will be taking place. So personally, I know that I am so much better with the cards in front of me than I am when I play on stream. So like now I make a joke out of it.
Right.
Like, let's see if we could misplay ourselves out of this game by talking to all my beautiful friends in stream. And it's so hard. It's so fucking hard to play well when you are doing. I couldn't imagine doing it at the level that Sierra does it at, because like I get like 20 viewers a stream. And then on the sidebar, I'm like, oh, Sierra's big chilling with 80 viewers. That's tight. I wonder how that's probably fun as hell, but it's probably hard as shit. And I can't even do it with 15, because I'll see one person. I'll be like, yo, for example, yo, Zach, what's up, man? how's this in your life? And I'll be like, the timer will go, and I'm like, man, I got time. I got 12 seconds. I can do a whole conversation with this guy, you know? So it's hard as shit. It's so hard. And people will say you're trash and you're bad, or what about this? And I'll just be like, bro, honestly, I'm really not here to but you don't want to say that. You don't want to say that because then you can alienate people. And then like that affects, it's just you have to think about like the spider web of shit that could be affected.
Like the backseat really playing was the worst thing. Like when someone's trying to tell you how to play the deck.
Yeah.
Or like that stuff gets on my nerves. I'm like,
dude, I know.
Just go play.
Like,
just go play.
I'm not here.
Yeah, I straight up said, I'm like, just go to Pokemon.com and download the game if you want to play. I understand that people like try to help because like I feel like a lot of the backseating is people see you make a mistake and they think that you're incompetent at playing the game, and they're trying to help you without realizing that telling you how to play the game isn't necessarily helping. It's like it comes from like an okay place, and then it's like, no, please don't though.
Yeah.
It's like it's one thing, especially like if you tell them like, hey, like I'm just learning this deck or whatever. Like I'm gonna make mistakes. Just let me do it. And like it's almost the same person every time that just keeps going. I'm like, yeah, someone just ban that dude. Get him out of here.
The second I pick up a new deck, I don't IRL or online, I'll pick up a new deck and it's like I've forgotten how to play Pokemon for like at least 5 games. I have no clue what I'm doing.
Sure.
And then I'm like, oh wait, this card does this. Is this why this is in this deck? People are like, yes. You're dumb. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. So like I understand why people are trying to backseat me, but I'm still like, just let me just do the dumb thing. Right. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, if you make a mistake one time, generally you won't make it again. My big thing, the thing that I always do is like I'll take a list from like OmniPoke or something, and then I'll have the perfect out in my deck, like with a calm, but I won't play the calm because I don't know the one-of card is in the deck, and I'll be like, oh, guess we're screwed here, boys. And then I'll just like attack, and they'll be like, dude, calm from you and do cool stuff, right. And I'm like,
and you're like, bro,
oh. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'll make like a cute face, like like tee, you know, or I'm not playing in real life, man. In real life, I'm convinced that I'm just like great, and then on stream I'm like, no. And the worst part is 90% of my play happens online, so people will match with me and be like with Sierra, whenever I match with Sierra, I'm just like, hi, you have a good deck,
right? And
then people will match with me and I'll be like, oh, I gotta bring this man the heat right now, I gotta bring him the heat, and then I'll just fucking botch the whole operation, and I'll just send him like this emote, like, and then I'll just bounce out of there. And then yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Right. It's really hard to do. I couldn't imagine doing it with more viewers, which is why I'm glad I'm not the most popular.
Right. So
yeah, it's tough.
When it comes to like your goal is to make worlds this year, and like I feel like as a content creator, you open doors for yourself, right? To have better testing, to have access to better players, right? Like I feel like personally, my game has stepped up a tenfold. Like doing this podcast, I have made connections with so many good players that like I can message someone and be like, hey, this is my idea, what do you think? And I will get a message back with no problem. And as much as like as that, I don't know how to explain, like, because your average player is not going to have that access, you know? Like, as much as anyone can message Sam Chen or whatever, is he going to reply? I don't know. He might be the nicest guy in the world. He might not. But I feel like in the last year, I've had so much more success because I can message Raul or Russell Lepar and be like, hey, I got nothing. Like, what are we playing? And they'll throw me something. And, like, I feel like you have that kind of access now as well. Am I wrong here?
I don't really think it's because of the content. I've gone to quite a few like IRL events. Like last year I attended like the 6 regionals. I did play at one. Yeah. And the year before that I went to like 6 regionals as well, and just kind of like getting to know like friends in the community and like them seeing that I'm like trying to take things seriously is more so where the doors open. I wouldn't necessarily say it's because of the content. I know it's like weird now, but like a year ago, I would argue that TCGO didn't really have too much competitive in it. In the last like it like when I started, it was all casual and people like kind of taking things seriously. It wasn't people that were going to events. It wasn't a competitive place. You didn't have like Azul and Pablo and like Tricky Jim streaming.
Yeah.
It was just a couple of people that might be a little better, but still really weren't going to events. So then the content creation didn't actually really open doors that way. It was more so like going out to events and then making those friendships. And I don't know. I hate messaging people and asking for any sort of help, though. I'm pretty stubborn, even though they're willing to help. But I would argue that content creation didn't really help quite as much. But I would say in having your name out in the community does help. And if that's because of content, then that's great.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I don't know, it's like in my local scene, I feel like a lot of people give me shit because like I'm obviously getting better at this game. And like I do very well at locals now. And they're like, well, it's because you have access to everyone. I'm like, okay. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm sorry I did something and like I made friends. I'm sorry I have friends and like I don't know what to tell you. But like it's really cool. And like the community, as much as like there's so much bullshit in this community, but like I don't surround myself with the bullshit. Like everyone that I interact with, I have great bonds with, and I feel like when you get to a certain level where you're like, oh shit, I'm getting really a lot better at this game, and like there's stepping stones where like, all right, I was doing nothing and I had a little success, and then I started doing this podcast, and now like I have a stupid idea, I'll throw it somewhere like, here, PokeStats chat, I have this dumb idea here. And like, I would say the PokeStats chat is like the most broken chat. It's like if you took like every player that's like semi, like their name's kind of up there, but they're not like a top player. Like we just took them all and put them in one chat, and we're like, hey guys, we're
like all the up-and-comers.
Yes, all the up-and-comers are in that chat, and it's like these little things that I think like any player like can do. Like you can get better just by interacting, bouncing ideas off of people. And like you might not have access to Raul or fucking Tord, whatever, but like I think a lot of this game is mental, and I think that just like you might have the dumbest idea ever, but it just takes one person to look at it and go, you should do it this way. And now we're in there. And like, but all these people, they get locked into Pablo made a video and I'm playing this deck, and I'm like,
no,
yes.
no.
And I try to tell people, because like like net decking is a thing, I get it, but
guilty.
See, I was guilty a long time, and now I get a lot of flack even by top players that are like, Zach, all you do is try to build your own meta. And I'm like, you're right. But I also, like, I look at your ideas and I'm not a fan, all right? But, like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I think, like, I don't even know where I'm going with this at this point.
Well, I have a thought on this whole thing. I think that being a content creator makes you more of a lightning rod for people who think you're kind of like by virtue of putting out content, people tend to think, in my opinion, that you're way better than you actually are.
I agree.
So I will often. So the reason why I got on Rare Candy is because I played Eric at my first regionals.
Okay.
And I recognized his voice, and I was like, "Yo, you're the Candy Man." And he laughed. and we had a good game, and I beat him. And then we were still on kind of like a weird, like, I know that guy, but like we're not friends based. Like now we're best friends. We talk every day. So at Charlotte Regionals, I didn't even know the guy, and I went up to him and I was like, "Yo, like, you trying to come to Toronto Regionals?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "You want to stay with me?" And he's like, "Okay." And then like this guy barely knows me. This guy that, well, I mean, I think I appear pretty disarming.
Yes, you're fine.
But like still kind of weird. Still not a thing that most people do. I'm very type A though, so I'm just gonna go for it. So like this guy that I don't know staying with me for 4 days, and then like by the end of it, we're like really good friends, and it was like super great. But then ever since getting on there, now I get a lot of ideas sent to me like daily, 5 or 6 DMs probably, and I love it. I love it because I'm the first one to say like, hey man, listen, I love your idea and I'm gonna play with it, but I really can't give you too much, but you've given me a lot to think about. So I get a lot of my own ideas. Like Vikavolt is a perfect example.
Okay,
Somebody was like, dude, what do you think about this? And I'm like, mother of God. Like, I love this card. This card was made for me. So like we're working with it, we're talking. So like that's a good way to like get people who like somebody called themselves to me in a message. This is just all stream of consciousness now, by the way. There's no point to any of this.
We're both on nothing.
They call themselves a nobody. And I just want to, for anyone listening, you are not a nobody. You're never a nobody to a content creator, right? or other people who are trying to like grow the game for that matter. Your ideas are always valid. And like Zach makes a super good point about that. And I get some of my best ideas on cards I don't even know fucking exist. I'm like, oh shit.
Right.
I'm
like that's a thing.
Like that's a thing. Go with this thing and that thing. So like, okay, that's cool. So Vikavolt honestly was like a community thing. It wasn't like me like
wasn't
like
just
there.
you.
Huh?
Wasn't just you.
It wasn't just me. It was like, oh, okay, like they tell me to use a Dedenne, and then this person's like, oh, power plant to beat Zoroark, and I'm like, eventually I have this list that I'm really happy with because it comes together from like people who are nobodies, which is the stupidest.
Right.
It's Pokemon. It's the stupidest thing. And I'm like offended by that. I'm like, dude, just because you don't have a platform does not mean that your ideas are not valid. I have a platform, and I'm one of the dumbest motherfuckers to walk the earth. Right?
I can fight you for that title.
Ooh,
come with it. It will be a 10-round fight because I'm not giving that title up. So, like, I don't know. As a content creator, I don't think it's gotten my foot in the door with a lot of good players. The best players that I know that I play with are Team Super Friends. Like, we're a very low-key team, but like that's just what we call ourselves, right? So those were made by like me being dumb and being like, hey, random guy, do you want to go to Toronto Regionals? Or hey, guy I played once who mollywomped me in round 6, do you want to test on PTCGO like every Monday? And like that's the kind of shit that works.
I guess it's different for me. Maybe I think that way is because I have a guest every week, and like I build these relationships with top players because I have almost one every week on my show. So maybe I see it a lot different. But
I think the cast goes a long way, honestly. I think like by having rare candy, I DM'd Henry after Worlds.
Yeah.
Like the world champion who I barely know, and he's like, dude, I would love to do that. And I don't know, I guess realizing what you have and like the platform you have and the amount of people you could reach, people like they love that. They love the opportunity to do that because it's like rare, you know, and that gets your foot in the door a lot of places too. But I'd say my best relationships with people who I learned from, like Chris Sakala.
Okay.
Like perfect example, one of my best friends in the game, and he's obviously super good. But like the first event I ever went to, he's like the guy in the hotel room who doesn't even know who I am. And then like after 3 events, because I was like maybe funny to him somehow, maybe. Now we're like, we talk about anything. We'll share lists and that kind of thing. So it's like a weird mix of like having the platform, but like also just like vibing with certain people. And there's a lot of people in the community that I don't vibe with. You know, like I'm sure a lot. It's just a weird overall.
And like I would say 90% of these top players, they're great people. They're great people. I have no issues with anyone, and it's
even if
good.
And this should be said, even if in the past they were not great people.
Correct.
That has to be, because there are a couple community members that I have gotten closer to over the past 6 to 12 months, who in the past were not very great people.
Right.
For one reason or another. You never know what's going on inside somebody's head or in their own personal life, right? So I would say that while this was a bad, strange interaction for you, you know, maybe 12 months from now, he vacates the doorway for you.
I think it's a weird thing too in the community, like you're saying, like a year ago somebody in the community. There's people like that have been in the game. So like I'm old, 24.
27.
28.
Oh,
So I'm old.
Yeah. I got
So
crazed, baby.
but I've only been in the game for about 3 years. So 21. I was a grown adult at that point. So like I didn't go through this community as a teenager. People that have been in the game for longer, there's been people that have been in this community for half their lives. So including them being a dumb kid, including them being a dumb teen, including them being a dumb adult. Like people will get these reputations for things they did as a dumb teen. Dude, I'm so glad and lucky that people in this community don't know some of the stuff I did as a dumb teen. They just see me as a dumb adult. They don't need to know the things that like 16 or 17, but not everyone in this community necessarily had that luxury of everyone not knowing their stuff.
That's such a good point. That's such a good point.
Like I had Danny Altabia on this podcast, and like he's the huge example of this. Where
that might have been it.
Oh, well, that's just someone like in the last year and a half too. Like his reputation has changed so much. Like and like when he was on the podcast, he explained like when he played this, he was a kid, just like you said. He was a teenager playing in this, and people got to see him act like a shitty teenager, and that stuck with him for so long. And like it wasn't until recently where like even people that I've heard them say the worst shit I've ever heard about Danny, I've recently have heard them say, you know what, Danny's a good guy, and you know what, Danny's changed, and the shit I said about him was wrong, and like it just takes like
work, man.
Yes, exactly. And like it sucks that you have to do it when you have to explain yourself when you're a child. Like exactly what Sarah said. If I played this game when I was in high school, I would have 0 friends too.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm so glad you guys found me when you did, because up until maybe 3 years ago, I was a arrogant piece of shit.
I mean, I still am.
This game humbled the shit out of me, dude, big time, and I love it. Better for it, you know.
Like we're in the Pokestats chat, they're all talking about Grant Manley. Like he's spicy because he likes to talk shit Grant. While he's winning, and I'm like, you guys better hope I never start winning events. You know, I will be like the most shit talking ever. Like if I ever popped off, like. You guys are good. No one's gonna like me.
Grant deserves it because Grant is probably the most beautiful person I've ever seen with the girl's Snapchat filter.
Oh yeah,
he's a dime.
He's a dime.
Grant. Oh man. Anyway,
you heard it here first. Carl's trying to get the girl version of Grant.
Worlds 2019, we Snapchat filtered everybody. Also, Blaine Hill, beautiful girl. Beautiful girl. Me,
is that the next YouTube video? At the next video, we're doing everyone on that filter.
Also, Michael Bergerac, not a good-looking girl at all.
Me,
not a good.
Not good either.
Not good. No. But Blaine and Grant, I don't know what's in that North Carolina water down there, man.
Oh
but
my gosh.
Wow. Anyway, that's
all right. Let's. I think we took up enough of your time. Let's wrap this up a bit. So what's the end goal here? Is this a full-time thing you want to do? Do you want to be world champion, or what is going on? What's the end goal here?
Yeah.
I don't know. There was recently a producing job that came up with Pokemon. Okay. That would be a really cool end goal. It's not really where I'm at now, but that would be a super cool end goal. I would love, like, I don't know, full-time content creation is such a weird place to be. And if I was to make full-time content creation a thing, it would not be within Pokemon, because Pokemon's just not big enough for it.
Money. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would love to be able to set myself up, have a good run at full-time content creation, see where it takes me, but get like that valuable resources and experience. So one day I can get hired on within Pokemon. I think that would just be the coolest thing. I'd love to move to Seattle. I would love to be able to work for Pokemon, whether it's producing for them, or whatever it may be. But I think if it's not full-time content creation, that's the end goal.
It's working for Pokemon. I like it.
I think, off my whole life with Pokemon, end off with Pokemon. I mean, I feel it's
retire on Pokemon.
Yeah, fitting.
You know what? I think we should all just get a GTA 5 accounts and do role playing all the Pokemon people, and we'll just start our own server.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
And we could just do that. I
I
think the
get killed
community could be
instantly.
big.
For whatever
That's
reason.
fine. I'm just robbing banks.
My car gets stolen, and I give
I
all
don't
my
know.
money
I've been
away.
addicted to that. I'm just throwing that. That's like my guilty pleasure
my
right now. Is that role playing GTA 5 on Twitch? I just love it, and I'm like,
I'm down.
we should do this. Let's do this.
Down. You can probably live stream it.
Yeah.
Probably not. All right. Do you have any shout outs you want to do?
So shout out to Card Cavern. So I know I haven't really been able to go to a competition represent them fully, but they are my sponsor and my first sponsor ever as a player, so it's super
Nice.
cool. Yeah, and they're awesome. Beyond that, just shout out to my stream, everyone who's a part of it, everyone who's been a part of it in the last like 2.5, 3 years. Because I mean, if it wasn't for stream, I mean, I wouldn't have every step that's brought me to where I am. I would not be here
Dope.
without. And just shout out to my friends and everyone who make it happen.
That is what's up.
Yeah.
You got anything to say over there before we wrap this up?
Me?
Yeah, you. No, the other guy. The other one. I know you're not used to the end of the podcast because you missed the only one we were supposed to. But
I'd like to shout out Rare Candy,
all right,
Ultra
that's
Pro,
enough. No.
Side Gaming. And no. Also, Zach, give me the floor here, man. This is super fun. This is super fun. I'm thankful for the opportunity to come home, cut my night off early, and sit down with you and a wonderful guest every week and just talk about stuff that isn't my usual platform of like, get better, do this, because I do believe in those things, but sometimes the brother just wants to chill and chop it up and talk about
It's fun.
whatever. Yeah.
Right? And that's
So thank
that's
you,
why
man.
we're here. We're here. This is the number one Pokemon podcast in the world. If you don't believe it, you can Google it, do whatever you got to do. But this is what we're here for. We're here to have fun. One last shout out. Sam Chen's winning LAIC tomorrow, just so everyone understands this. I don't even know what he's playing, but he's on his shit.
I don't think he knows what he's playing.
That's true. We don't talk about that. No leaks. Shout out
No
to Danny.
leaks.
No leaks.
No,
But yeah,
No
guys,
leaks.
not a drop.
time to wrap it up.